All right, so today we're going to talk about why you may feel uneasy or uncomfortable when you're trying to get your desired reality. And first, that may be because one, you got to give yourself forgiveness because you got to understand we all were born to believe certain things. We all were born to think that the outside world, the 3D reality that we see, is the real world. So we were trained to react to it. So first, you got to forgive yourself for all the things that you didn't know you were doing. Because if you keep being hard on yourself, you're going to keep on getting that because that becomes your identity. But when you're trying to get your reality, it's going to feel uncomfortable because it's new. It's new for all of us. You know what I mean? Like I said, we were taught a certain way of living. We were taught that the outside world is the real world, and we digest it in here, and then we re-spit it back up, and then wonder why we're not getting what we want. We're getting who we are because we're getting what we're reacting to. You know what I mean? And it's tough. It definitely is tough. But first, you gotta forgive yourself. That's number one. You gotta forgive yourself because it's not your fault. How you die is your fault, but how you born isn't your fault. And when you was born, you came into this world thinking a certain way that come out to be true. You know, and you gotta understand too. The world does this on purpose. The world wants you to be ignorant to the knowledge, to who you really are. It wants to control you. That's why it wants to put fear in your face. It wants to put bad news all over your face because if they really wanted you to thrive, not only would they show you your power, but all the news would be positive. Like a lot more positive things happen in the world that we know, but we wouldn't notice because all they put in our face is negative because they understand that those are more things we're going to react to. You know what I mean? Us just being human, survival is just natural to us. We always look for ways to protect ourselves, and putting fear on us gets our nervous system in that state to prepare for something bad or dangerous. But the real key reason why when you're stressing out when you're trying to materialize your desired reality is because you're looking at the 3D world to give you confirmation of what you should already know inside of here. And a good example of that is, let's say for example with me, money. I can say and believe that I want money and that I have money. Well, actually, no, let's not go to that yet because we're gonna go to that. I can believe and think that I want money or that's easy for me to obtain money. But then when I come in contact with money in a 3D reality, if I'm reacting to it in a way that just that doesn't align with my beliefs, my new beliefs that I want to be, I'm gonna keep getting more of that. You know, what I mean, you can't look for the 3D to give you confirmation on something that you should know, because you got to understand that the outside world that you see stemmed from you. It's your perspective on the world, and the best way to do this is like, or best way to logically kind of know this is everything you see on the outside world once started as a thought somebody said. The chair I'm sitting in right now once started as a thought somebody said. The phone I'm recording off right now once started as a thought somebody said. The phone wasn't made first in the physical realm, and then somebody was like, "Okay, let's call that a phone." No, it's vice versa. And then in the opposite end, you only get on the 3D who you are, because a lot of times we come into contact with things and we like, "Well, I didn't ask for this, and I didn't want this." Yeah, you may not ask for that particular event to happen to you, but you were the person or the identity that event will happen to. I'm pretty sure every homeless person don't ask to be homeless. They didn't say, "Hey, I want to be homeless today." No, but somebody with a poor mindset, somebody who's fixated on scarcity, being homeless is something that can happen to that person. So you have to take responsibility for all the things you see in the outside world, but you have to understand that it's the old you. It's the sum of all your beliefs, like everything that you observe, all your experiences. You know what I mean, in your perspective. And you may say like, "Well, I don't want to see that." But the way I can put that is logically is there's many different languages in the world, but yet you may only speak English. Spanish exists, Mandarin exists, Latin exists, but it doesn't exist to you because you don't come in contact with people who speak it on a regular basis, or if at all. So to somebody, Spanish doesn't exist. It's an unknown language to them until you come in contact with something Spanish, and then you understand, oh, okay, it does exist. Same thing with your reality. Everything that you're seeing is because of you. I can't put my perspective in your mind and get you to see what I come into contact with on a regular basis, because my perspective and my beliefs is mine and yours is yours. We come from two different circumstances and environments that shaped us. So you got to take responsibility that whatever you're seeing out there is from you. But you can change it, not by changing it, but changing you internally. Because like I said, everything you see outside in the world started in somebody's mind. You trying to react to the 3D, you trying to change the 3D world. It's kind of like you going into a mirror and you see a pimple in your face, and you trying to go and touch and go through the mirror to pop the pimple, rather than you just changing your diet and you taking different things and you drinking a lot of water and letting the pimple like basically like dissipate and fade away. So when you look back into the mirror, then you see no pimple. You know what I mean? The mirror is going to show a reflection of who you are. Same thing with the 3D reality. The 3D reality is going to show a reflection of who you are. But you got to understand, though, that the ego will be there to protect you. And for you, you might not look at it as protection because you're like, I don't want to see that. But it's coming from you. It's coming from your old beliefs and your old perspective. And the ego in the universe seeks to magnify and maintain whatever you believe. It wants to give you a lot of what you already believe and what you already know about yourself, but it also wants to maintain that and stay consistent. You know what I mean? It loves comfortability. It loves familiarity. So it's going to keep on continue to give you that until you change on the inside and shift your degree to experience a new reality. An example of that would be like, in the Kabbalion, there's a law of polarity, you know? In the law of polarity, it says things are identical in nature, but different in degree. An example I have for that is temperature. Nobody really knows where hot starts and cold ends. You know what I mean? They're the same. It's both states of water. But the only thing that separates hot and cold is the degrees, the level of vibration. You know what I mean? So the same thing with you. You can change your reality from seeing the stuff you don't want to see. If you're seeing scarcity but you want abundance, you can slide on the spectrum to shift your mentality to abundance. And then once you switch your mentality to abundance, the 3D starts conforming and shifting around you to give you abundance, because that becomes your new hardwiring, in fact. And then once that abundance becomes in your subconscious programming, then your ego is going to do everything to keep giving you that. It's going to magnify you being abundant, and it's going to keep maintaining you being abundant. But you have to get rid of your old self first. Just like how Jesus died on the cross and he was getting pinned and sacrificed and pain and getting nailed to the cross. It probably felt like hell. It was hell to him. But his faith, he knew that this is part of the unfolding. This is all happening for me because, like I said, God is one. God is neutral. God doesn't see good and evil. God sees everything is happening for you. So the minute you have that mindset on the outside world, until you start seeing the things that you want to see, just understand everything is happening for you. And even if even if you can't handle that, understand it is you. How dumb is it to be afraid of yourself? How dumb is it to run away from yourself? I couldn't imagine it. That's one thing I had to learn from. I kept trying to put the blame on everybody else, but I kept seeing the same patterns, even when those people was in my life or not, which made me think, okay, it's not them. It got to be me, because I'm with me all the time, and I keep seeing these same patterns. And these people are coming and going out of my life. Nothing changes unless you change it, and things get easier over time. So if you're not seeing the results of your reality, understand you got to forgive yourself, because you're new to this. You were taught to perceive a world in a certain way before, and now you're getting to the new knowledge. Understand the ego is there to protect you. So the old stuff that you see is you. It's a reflection of your old beliefs, your old expectations, your old knowing. And to change that, you change your internal state. Just like how if you want to change the pimple in the mirror, you change your diet, you change your internal state, and then it reflects on the outside. Same thing with the ego. The ego wants to give you more of what you already know. So once you change what you already know, once you program you from being a scarcity to abundant, and you make abundant your fucking what's something that's automatic? You know what I mean? Just automatic. When you make abundance your new automatic, then the universe is going to have to reflect that and make abundance your new automatic and give you that in multiple variation of ways. But just understand that when you're going through your journey, that everything is you. So don't be afraid of yourself, and you got to stand firm in the storm. You know what I mean? You got to be the sky when it comes to seeing all your old events and circumstances and the things you don't want to see. You got to just stay firm, understanding that if I hold this state on the inside, the 3D has to change, because you've been proven right before. You've just been proven right for the things you don't want to see.